Howdy, everybody. I'm honored to be here tonight, honored to be with Dave and Dave, who are also going to be sharing this evening. We've got a lot of clients in the room that we've worked with this last year and a half, and we've got clients around the state that for the last 25 years together we've shared doing this kind of planning, legacy planning. Tonight, pretty much, I'm just going to kick the evening off by sharing stories and kind of having you understand how important our hearts are, actually more than our balance sheet, when it comes to estate, farm and ranch succession planning or legacy planning. I'm going to introduce one person tonight before I start. I'm going to kind of surprise him a little bit. I've got a grandson who's following his dream. He's a junior in high school at Louisville, Nebraska. And every day, every weekend, he spends his time wanting to be a movie producer someday. And he's getting a start tonight. Our videographer for the evening is my grandson, Sam Sinser. So give Sam a hand. It's Sam's idea to be here tonight to do this, and we're honored that he wants to. When we start off meetings like this, what we'd like to have people do is recognize or get a feel for this isn't stressful kind of work, creating a legacy plan for your family. It's really not. It's fun if we get our hearts and souls into the planning. So I'd like to ask everybody to consider doing something. It takes about 1 minute. If there's anything that you're grateful for right now in the last, just in your heart and soul, write it down on the yellow tablet in front of you. Just if there's anything that you're grateful for, I'd love to have you write it down for us. It could be a new grandson. It could be anything. Just take 20 seconds, please. And Aaron, if I screw up on the mic, wave at me. Is there anybody in the audience that would just be willing to share something, one of the things or two of the things that they've written down that they're grateful for? I'd love to hear from 3 or 4 or 5 people. Your wife? Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Yep. Jim? Pardon? Family, okay. Anybody else? A couple more. Health. Wow, what matters more than that? Next generation? Wow, thank you. We've been doing this for a long time, asking that question. What we always find out is that nobody brings up their money. You know, all this planning that we do, so much has to do with net worth and taxes, and it's really not about that. It's about family dynamics, it's about love, and it's about the things that really matter in our lives, and that's why we do that little bitty exercise, so thank you for sharing. You can probably tell by the introduction from Aaron and Lucas that we believe in each other. This group of us trust each other, we respect each other, and so I'm going to share for a minute and have, I hope John Wilkins from the bank and the team from the bank and Aaron and Lucas aren't embarrassed, but about 2 years ago we met our colleague from Geneva State Bank, and I asked them to tell their story, asked them to tell us what they do, the trust department particularly, because we work a lot with trust companies. And I'm going to say this, that the giant banks across the country, the U.S. banks, the Wells Fargo, the banks that we see advertised on national TV come to our office a lot, calling on us, asking to partner with us to serve clients. We never do. We did years and years ago, but they don't care about human beings. And if I'm speaking badly about anybody's bank, I apologize, but when we met the human capital, the human beings, the integrity and the dignity that we've seen with Geneva State Bank and their trust department, it's allowed us to ask them a question. I said, Aaron and Lucas, tell us about the vision for your trust company, and I know it's to be the absolute best ag trust company in this neck of the woods. And it wasn't very long before a lot of us were asking them, why just this neck of the woods? We hope you become the best trust company in the whole Midwest, because you really are. You do that kind of a job. And I hope by the time this evening is over that the audience feels that competency, integrity, caring, playing team with you, and listening is the whole core, the whole key to estate planning and keeping family farms in a family. When we were invited here to be here this evening, we thought we should go over to the co-op and get to know Bob and find out if Bob couldn't be here tonight, and ask him if he were in the audience, what would his message be? What would he want to hear from us as we're sharing tonight about estate and legacy planning? And we felt his energy, we felt his passion for agriculture, its future, the future it has for the next younger generations. But he said, Randy, Dave, and Dave, Aaron and Lucas, if you can share one thing, share the fact that each generation needs to be responsible for that generation. I'm 65, and we've got a big family, 5 children, 14 grandchildren. And we feel that our generation, it's so important that we do our planning for the next generation and the one above us. My grandparents and parents and my wife's are all gone. But each generation, according to Bob, it's their responsibility to not leave a mess for the next generation. So we hope we make that point tonight with a lot of energy and a lot of passion. One thing we've found over the years is that everyone has a story. I think about the story from my grandparents, my parents, and I'm going to share one of my stories, and it's a quick one. I was born on a small farm up by Ceresco, and my dad decided, besides farming, he wanted to be a pilot. So he was a pilot, and then he decided to fly for a feed company, and the feed company talked us into putting a commercial chicken operation on our farm when I was about 10 years old. And when I was 14 years old, I'll never forget this. And my message here is things happen to us. We have stories in our life that make us like we are today. My mom and dad let us know that we were going to lose the family farm because we didn't know how to be in the chicken business, and there wasn't enough time to fly and farm. So our family, when I was 14, I'm the oldest of 4 children, we lost a farm, had a sale. Dad had a little J3 Cub. We had a semi-trailer. We had a nice little operation, but we lost it. And sitting there that day watching my mom with tears in her eyes and watching the 3 brothers and sisters wonder what's our life going to be like, something happened inside of me that said to me, Randy, if you can be a rock-solid person the rest of your life and help families do planning so those things don't happen, it'd be a wonderful life. I didn't know that till I was in my 20s, but we're very, very, what's the right word? We're very low-key. We're very low-key professionals, and we try to do our job. And I think all of you probably operate your farms, your ag operations, somewhat because of what the generation before you was like and the story that they've handed down to you. So our stories matter immensely. My partner's here, Mike Neben. Mike, I see you back there somewhere. Mike shared something with me as we were talking about this evening, and that is that when you have an event like this, and we're talking about succession planning of farm families and estate planning, that it's so easy for us to talk about the great big family farms, or the medium size, or even the small. But if we could look at each one of you in the eye and make eye contact and have you leave tonight and have you feel like, sometimes when I go to church, and this is what Mike and I talk about, you leave church and you feel like, wow, how did the pastor know the message today was just about me? He was talking to just me. And that later that day, or maybe at lunch, a couple, 3 friends or 5 friends, you realize they all had that same feeling. See, everybody here has a different story. Everybody has a different situation. Everybody's got a different family. And this kind of planning that we're talking about, and Dave and Dave will be showing all kinds of tools and how to do this tonight. If it's hard to have a generic story and a generic plan, it's got to come from the heart. It's got to be done by people who listen, who have gotten to know you, who understand family dynamics, who have the courage to use words like love and respect and fear. That's what this planning's about, getting inside the heart and soul. So I'm going to share a couple more stories, and I'm almost done, to make an impact on how important this kind of work is. sometimes we've got to share stories that are negative, but they're true, just so we understand if our family hasn't done this kind of work, maybe we should. We have a client today that lives not really too far from here, that about 5 years ago, when the gift tax exemption was $1 million, that client's, the grandfather's a wealthy farmer, and the son, and the grandfather's in his 80s, the son is in his late 50s, owns a very successful business and is also a farmer, and a lot of net worth. And the CPA suggested, their family CPA for 30 years, which we believe in working with the tax professionals, suggested to grandpa that he make a gift to his only grandson of $1 million to reduce his estate. So grandpa thought, wow, that's a great idea. I'd move the $1 million out of my estate. I got plenty left over, and that would move the growth of that asset out of my estate. So they did that. And so this young man, 28 years old, with a wife and 3 children, received $1 million interest in an LLC that grandpa gifted to him. The same year, the CPA, not almost the same week, suggested to the dad that he had plenty of money. He should make a gift to his son of $1 million. Son says, "No, I've got plenty of money and I'll inherit from dad, but I'll make a gift of cash to my son of $500,000. So a 28-year-old man has $500,000 of cash and $1 million interest in land from grandpa, and they thought they'd done a good job, but nobody thought through, could you have done it a better way? And so it was about 8 months later, the young man comes home and finds a note on the kitchen table that his wife and 3 little children were gone. She had decided she wanted a divorce. And so when that divorce was over, about 7 months later, the wife that left in her late 20s left with about $850,000. Well, I know grandpa very well. I know the dad very well. They're clients of ours today, not then. Had they had a team in place that would have showed them how they could make gifts under a different method, that asset would still be in the family's bloodline. But they didn't have a team come around them. There was no collaboration. It was just advice to save taxes. And it didn't work out very well. Grandpa hasn't had a good night's sleep for about 3.5 years. One more story. Another family that's a long ways from here up north, they are now our clients also. 2 brothers, very large farm operation, moved from Iowa to Nebraska 40 years ago, bought a lot of land. They had attorneys, they had accountant, they had an insurance professional, they had a whole team of people, but they never got together. They never collaborated. They never got in the room to find out at one time what's going on with this family. The insurance person wrote an awful lot of insurance, $3 million on 2 brothers. The attorney did estate planning. The accountant did tax planning. One of the brothers got cancer, and he lived about 3.5 years, fought the cancer till age 52. At 52, he passes away, and his wife assumed that her brother would come over one of these days and bring her a check for $3 million to buy her interest out of the farm equipment. It's just for the equipment, and she wouldn't have to farm anymore. He'd have the equipment, and she would have the cash, all tax-free. Never happened. That's when we got involved. And what had happened was they didn't have a buy-sell agreement. The brother got a check for $3 million. He didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to bring that money to buy out his sister-in-law, so he didn't. I don't blame anybody, except there was no collaboration. There wasn't a team of people around a family finding out what's going on, what matters, what should we be doing, and everybody be in the loop. And that's a lot of our message tonight. The collaboration and having a team of people that know what they're doing is how you do this kind of work. I've got a clicker here somewhere. This is what we hope that good planning can accomplish. It's just right here, just one slide. That family is like a quilt, from one generation stitched to the next, and having gratitude for each other is the thread that holds us together. It's just a slide that we found that shows a family for 2 generations at least, that if we do the kind of planning that matters, we can keep family farms in families for generations to come, and have love in the family for generations to come. One more. This picture here has got a lot of family members in it, a lot of complexities to their planning. But if we're going to have that family keep an ag operation in the family for a long time, it's going to take some good work, and it can be fun work. I like the picture over here. It just shows a couple little children that are very interested. They're nosy about this farm that their grandpa and parents have. And if we think of the impact to not doing this kind of planning has on the future generations, it's a big deal. I'm about done. I just would like to share, as I introduce Dave Mayer and Dave, I think Dave, your mayor is going to be next. We do have about a 23-year, 24-year relationship. We're working with clients all over the state, all over the country, actually, doing this kind of planning. And along with Aaron and Lucas and John from Geneva State Bank, how this has happened is just earning each other's trust, never letting each other down. A team that collaborates can accomplish so much. And I'm honored to have a relationship with planners and who become trusted friends, because we know we don't let each other down. So with that, I'm going to get off the stage and turn it over to Dave Mayer. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Randy.